Hey everyone, welcome to Who Runs the World, our weekly roundtable discussion on the latest in the world of women's sports. I'm Tom Scabelli, joined as always by my partners Natalie Sims and Maia. Guys, what's going on? You excited to talk some women's sports?
Yep. Yes, for sure. So we can start off with the U.S. women's national team. Yesterday they beat South Korea 6-0. But the crowd was the second smallest in the 12 domestic games in 2017. So after the game, Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe were interviewed asking their frustration in basically letting women play in foreign countries and their lack of support in the United States. So they kind of felt like the women's national team exceeds their expectations as far as records go, and they still don't see the support in their crowds, and they kind of think that having more women involved in marketing roles and higher up management, that might help kind of develop some more support for the team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the men's team is awful. They just got eliminated from the World Cup with a loss to a country, I don't remember the name of, like Turks and Caicos or something. So I think that with them not going to be in the World Cup next year, it's important to rally around the women's team because they've won 3 World Cups and they should be in it in the next one too, should have contention. So hopefully we can rally around them.
Right. I agree. With the men's team out, maybe it'll be a little more easy to focus on the women's team and their success they've had so far.
Yeah, I think we should show more support for our women's national team, especially since they're going for their 4th world title. In gymnastics, Michaela Maroney, a 2-time Olympic medalist, has alleged that she was abused by their U.S. gymnastics doctor, Larry Nassar, who already faces 22 counts of criminal sexual assault and could possibly be doing a life sentence in prison. Maroney said that the abuse began when she was 13, and Nassar said, Maroney stated that, and I quote, "Dr. Nassar told me that I was receiving medically necessary treatment that he had been performing on patients for over 30 years. She also said that it happened in London before her team won gold and before she won silver in the individual event. And also how when she was 15, Nassar gave her a sleeping pill in their all-day trip to Tokyo. And she was terrified when she woke up in the hotel room when she was allegedly getting treatment. Maroney called for change, urging other victims of abuse to speak out and demanding organizations to be held accountable for their inappropriate actions and behavior. What do you think, Tom?
I think it's really bad, obviously, and it's the ugly side of women's sports, and you kind of wonder if what other sports it's happening in individual sports, obviously going to be under the microscope a little bit more, but I mean in team sports too, these girls undergo training, and obviously there's going to be creepy old guys out there. And I think it's good that they caught this guy and they're drawing attention to it. And Michaela Maroney is arguably one of the biggest names in female sports, and the fact that she's able to speak out about, I mean, I hadn't heard about, you said he had 22 counts, I hadn't heard about this until today. So I think the fact that someone who's such a big name is speaking out about it definitely helps and should draw attention to it and hopefully prevent this kind of stuff from happening in the future.
Yeah, I think and they also have a new hashtag #MeToo, that I think a bunch of women athletes are starting to tweet and stuff to kind of promote the cause.
So on a bit of a lighter note, a more positive note in the world of women's sports, Jenny Busek was hired as an assistant coach for the Sacramento Kings in the WNBA, just the 3rd full-time assistant coach in pro sports. She struggles a little bit as the head coach of Seattle's WNBA team, going 38-56 in her 3 seasons as a head coach, but she's getting a shot. We see Hammond with the Spurs doing a really good job, and she knows her basketball, and I think this is a good step forward in possibly getting our first full-time head coach in a major male team sport, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that how she actually got to the NBA from the WNBA without like a winning record in the WNBA. So do you know anything about how she?
I think she's had
there?
experience in the WNBA before, and they say she's a good basketball mind, and she'd worked around NBA teams in the 90s and into the 2000s, so maybe her players just weren't that good. I'm not that well versed in the WNBA, but I would assume maybe she didn't have that good of players, but obviously Sacramento Kings staff saw enough in her basketball knowledge to give her a chance.
All right, well, we'll see what Jenny can do for the Kings in their season. Next up, we have Mimi Anderson, who's 55. She's running across the country right now, and she started in early September and hopes to beat the world record when she gets to New York City. So she's fighting for that. She left on September 11th and hopes to get back by the end of October. So it's just kind of interesting to see her daily routines and what she when she wakes up and what she eats and kind of how she mapped out her journey, because I think the first time she did a long race like this, she just did Google Maps, and that's kind of how she decided. But it was interesting to read about how she, based on temperature and other aspects, how she kind of mapped out her journey from one side of the country to the next.
Yeah, I think that's really impressive, especially for a 55-year-old.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't like the move. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't like people who run. I think it's kind of sort of obnoxious, like a look at me, look how far I can run type of thing. And running isn't hard. Like, she has an RV with her, so she could stop like every 10 minutes and just get in the RV and stop running if she wants to. So I don't want to give her any more attention. I guess it's an accomplishment if she does it, but I hate running and I hate people who can run. So I wish her the worst of luck in her journey.
All right.
Next.
All right. In the tennis side, Spanish Wimbledon champion Garbine Muguruza is the WTA Player of the Year. The annual honors was announced this Friday and was voted by the members of the social media. Muguruza beat Venus Williams in the Wimbledon final last July for her second Grand Slam title and became number 1. Other awards recipients include Yelena Ostapenko as Most Improved Player and Cici Bellis as Newcomer of the Year.
Congratulations to Garbina. With Serena Williams pregnant and out, it obviously opens up an opportunity for another new name to get in there. I hadn't heard about Garbina Muguruza until this year, but she won Wimbledon. She moved up to first in the ranking, so definitely well deserving, and hopefully a competitor to the Williams sisters, because they seem to always dominate the sport, and it's nice to get another name in there for common fans to know.
Yeah. Well, that's all the news that we have today in women's sports. Before the show ends, we would like to thank our sponsors J&B Soda, where the soda pops, Studio FMH, and ESPNW. Many thanks to Natalie Sims and Tom Scabelli, and we'll see you next week in Who Run the World.